First up, why does it seem like ethnicity and sexuality are prioritized over nationality? Has the focus on identity politics and discussions like critical race theory taken us further from unity? We'll explore whether prioritizing identity over shared national values strengthens or weakens our society. Let's dive into it.
Yes. Critical race theory has been a pretty big topic. So as always, we want to start off with defining what something is. So we're just not, grasping in the air at what our own personal meanings of this is, or being objective at the end of the day.
Right.
So what is critical race theory? We see here, critical race theory is an academic concept that is more than 40 years old. The core idea is that race is a social construct and that racism is not merely the product of individual bias or prejudice, but also something embedded in legal systems and policies. There's 3 individuals who came up with this, Derek Bell, Kimberly Crenshaw, and Richard Delgado. So now that we have a basic understanding of what it is, again, it's not necessarily influenced solely by bias or prejudice, but it's also embedded into the fabric of our legal system and our government policies. So does that help us move forward? I guess is really the question.
And me personally, I think critical race theory is something we should move away from, because let's just call a spade a spade. We're reliving a traumatic experience. So if you in your own life went through a traumatic experience, say you were molested as a child, or raped, or
you were drowning,
or you got shot, or someone robbed you, or anything where there was a traumatic experience, do we every year revisit that? Or, okay, this is February 23rd, and this is the day that I was, almost drowned, I almost died. Do we keep reliving that? If you were a woman that was getting abused in a relationship, do we keep reliving the day that we married the man that was kicking our ass all the time? No, we don't keep living that, because that's traumatic. And if you keep living traumatic experiences, you'll keep feeling victimized.
Yes.
You'll keep feeling oppressed. And that's why I believe moving away from the critical race theory is something that we need to do. Stop telling us, we were slaves, we were nothing, this happened to us and we were whipped and chained and our lives aren't worth anything. Like, stop telling us that. That's not where our journey as Americans of African descent start at.
Exactly.
That's our journey starts from us being, rulers and emperors and kings and queens,
scholars
and scholars and physicists and all these, great ideals and ideologies.
STEM innovators.
Yes, STEM innovators, to be exact.
We were STEM innovators.
I'm with moving away from critical race theory, and I don't think it's eliminating our contributions to society or the struggle that we've been through. It can be acknowledged. It should be acknowledged, and we will talk about it. But to constantly keep bringing it up and using it as our point of reference, our beginning, our start, I think it does more harm to us than good.
I would agree. To make sure we level set everything, let's be mindful that there's a vision in place here. A new administration calls for new vision for America.
Right.
So if the vision for this new administration is that of family and national unity, then that means that there needs to be policy in place to promote family and national unity.
Right.
Now, I'm not of the school of thought where we are saying that we are whitewashing our history.
No, not at all.
Of America. That's not what we're saying at all.
Right.
We're not sweeping it under the rug. We're not saying that it never happened, and we're not saying that it's an event that people need not be made aware of. But we are saying that if our goal as a nation is family and national unity, then we have to have policy in place that promotes that. And we cannot promote that if we are promoting, if we're creating, I should say, like I said, the racial tension, not subconsciously, but as a direct product of rehashing the past. So my question is how do we create a quote unquote better future for America if we keep modeling the past?
Exactly. And one of the things is not leading with your sexuality, not leading with your race, as a reference, when you refer to Americans, we should be referred to as Americans.
So should.
We American did. Ding.
That's $1.
Right. It's better for us to refer to ourselves as Americans of African descent.
Yes.
Because therefore, when you put things into legislation and rules and things and policies come down the line, it applies to all Americans. And we're Americans first. And so therefore, that'll take out the whole segregation, the whole separation, the whole,
exactly.
The animosity that comes with, someone saying they're Black American,
right, a white American, right, exactly.
A white American.
We're creating the lines of division.
We're Americans,
right?
And
that's first. American comes first.
Yes.
Let's talk about how are we viewed when you travel around the world? Do they say you're African American or Black? Like, how do they refer to you?
They call you American.
American.
They say, oh, those the loud Americans over there, and they definitely refer to us as Americans. It ain't no Black American, no red American, no white American. We're just all Americans, and I think that's something that we can use to unify us as a nation.
Yes,
I think nationality and being proud of our nation is key to us moving together. Moving forward together.
I agree.
There was a video with a young lady. She kind of broke it down real good, Miss King, and she was speaking to a young man, and that video really resonated with me, and I want to dive into that video right now and see what you guys think about that.
What about they saying Trump trying to take Black history out of schools and shit?
So let's really have this conversation, because what he was talking about is critical race theory, and critical race theory is just that. It's a theory, and it's written by 3 men. It's not even anything that's factual. But to expound on that a little further, let's just really have a real conversation. I remember growing up in school, every Black History Month, of course, we learned about Martin Luther King, we learned about Malcolm X, we learned about the suffrage of Black people, right? And what does that do to our mindset? Because if you telling the kid every day, you ain't shit, y'all was slaves, y'all came from this, yada yada, they're gonna believe that. So in a lot of ways, we have created an entire generation of people that have a mindset that they are already less than. And that's just something that I refuse to accept or believe. And I just think that we should empower our children. Yeah, it's okay to tell the story, but do we pound it in their head every Black History? It's so many great things that we've done. Why are we still telling that horror story over and over and over and over again? It's trauma.
Like she said, it's trauma. It's trauma. It's trauma.
It's a horror story.
It's a horror story, literally, and we can't keep reliving the American Horror Story. No pun to the series that come on TV, but it's American Horror Story.
Yeah, man.
That we, like she said, we don't ignore it. We acknowledge it, but we don't, dwell on it and keep perpetuating it to the younger generations and everyone, because they saying that it makes the white races or the white children feel inferior, and they feel,
with that whole oppressor,
bad,
we talked about last week, the whole oppressor victim dynamic.
And not to say that, I understand that point, because, say if the shoe was on the other foot and we were the oppressor, and or
the perceived, not the perceived oppressor, but the oppressor. My bad.
We were the oppressor.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, the Black people was wrong for doing this, for doing that. And then you fast forward to 2025, and you got your young kids coming up. I would feel like, oh, we're bad. Right. We're bad people. Why would we do that? Well, like we said, we're educated. We'll educate our people, but don't. Use this to, beat them over the head with it.
Exactly.
Instilling in them. So,
as a solution, then moving forward, it seems that again we need to, in my opinion, from my perspective, we need a reboot, a clean reboot. The same way once your phone start tripping and it's glitching out, usually a reboot or a restart will get you. Now, devil's advocate, there's people who will say, "Oh, we can't do something like that because." Again, they're trying to erase our history. They're trying to whitewash. There was a young bull, I believe his name was Jonathan Harris, and he was talking about, pretty much the devil. What my impersonation of his painting was more so the devil's advocate version of what they're saying will happen if we do remove critical race theory. That we're in a sense whitewashing Americans of African descent's history in this country. However, I disagree, because if, again, the vision moving forward is that of family unity and to promote national unity, then we cannot keep retelling the American Horror Story.
No, we can't.
And again, that doesn't say, and that's not to say that we're saying it doesn't exist. So, in my opinion, yes, we still, because again, the media is still going to be there. You know,
of course,
the books are still there. So, yeah, it's gonna be on within the household to educate the children on the story. But again, we'll still see the movies and all that kind of stuff. However, from a government, educational, federal level, a mandate that's focused on promoting family unity and national unity cannot be completed if we are continuing with critical race theory,
which inevitably separates.
It's right. It creates the division.
It creates division.
So we can't have unity if we got to divide.
Exactly. And I also, to take it another step further, I think there should be only one political party. I don't think we need a Democrat and Republican party.
I'm with you on that.
You know, the phrase is divide and conquer. If y'all don't realize that's what's being done, that we've been divided, so we could be so caught up bickering. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, you right, you wrong.
You're right. We're all American.
Right, we're all American, and we all have, you know, the one goal in mind: America first, make America great again, and keep it great.
And before we move on, last point, as Americans, we now have to understand that our existence is no longer a national existence. We are on a global playing field now.
Yes.
Because the internet connects us all.
Great point.
Period, point blank.
Great point.
So the archetypes or the dynamic of oppressor, victim, dominance, and like that's always going to be a thing. This is because that's just the human experience. However, if the vision moving forward is to promote family unity and national unity as Americans, then to your point, why do we have all these different parties? Why are we acknowledging ourselves? Why are we dividing ourselves based on a political party, based upon how we identify as human beings, you know, our sexuality? Like, all that's doing is creating lines of division,
right? As
opposed to us being America versus everybody else. Why are we not focused on that if the goal truly is family unity and national unity, to the point where I'm talking about we eliminate anything other than American on the applications, like everything. Like, it's no longer black, white. There's none of that exists no more on any formal documents. It's just all American or foreigner. That's it.
It's funny you said that because pretty much it's up to you, to survive and make sure your family is educated and that you thrive. There was this man, this 65-year-old man. I heard the video that he did, and he was like referring to, his perspective, growing up in the 40s and 30s or whatever, and that kind of, there was a question I asked on our last episode, were we doing better
or worse
prior or after 1964?
Were we able to be self-sufficient and take care of ourselves? Or are we going to believe the story that we are told that we weren't? Because again, that's that whole perpetual. You guys were slaves. You couldn't get jobs.
Right.
But again, we got a perspective here.
Yeah, I got a perspective. This 65-year-old man, like he just really like broke it down. So let's tap into that.
This elder is telling some truth.
Yes, I'm 65 years old, and I was born in 1930. And you know what? Black people was a whole lot better off. It's more of them finished school, and more of them had their own business because I lived through it. And then why should I'm 65 years old, and I can't read and write. How come that I get all the money I want ever since I've been here? I ain't never been discriminated against. Ain't no white man never discriminated against me. If he did, I didn't know nothing about it. I create a baby. I can create anything. I don't need the welfare to give me nothing. I don't need no formative action. I'm a man. And Bell Curve was right. You is useless if you ain't got something to take care of yourself.
Hey, spitting game.
What OG say?
Hot fire.
You are useless if you can't take care of yourself.
And so, as he said, in closing, you got to be able to be self-sufficient at the end of the day. And as we saw a firsthand account from a brother who was born in the 1930s.
Yeah.
from his perspective, we were better off. And one thing I caught, he said he didn't know how to read or write. But he still could see that we was better off.
And we were thriving. we were married. We had businesses.
Right. We were finishing at school.
We were graduating, was educated. Now
owning businesses.
Our education level is, embarrassing.
Very embarrassing.
The amount of business ownership is, embarrassing. The single family households is devastating. And it's just like, come on. That's why I raised the question. Were we doing better prior? They making all this fuss about that 1964 act. But I challenge you to think, were we doing better prior to that? Or were we doing better after that? Was that something that helped us?
Yep.
But like we said, we always diving into topics to challenge the thought process and tap in and let us know what you think. And now we're going to take a close